TG Geeks, episode 306, December 28th, 2020. Oh, 2020, don't let the door hit you where the Lord split you. Hello and welcome to another webcast from TGGeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the two gay geeks, talk about all aspects of Geek-dom and Nerdery, sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre. You name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely, we're still on vacation after Christmas, Phoenix, Arizona. And the weather's lovely.
Yeah, it is. And I'm Ben Raggington, wondering, were you about to say, don't let the Lord hit you where the door split you?
Well, just about. I almost got tongue-tied there. Either way.
Ooh, I'm kinky.
Either way it works.
Very kinky. Yes, and I'm also here in lovely Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay, let's get on with it.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the two gay geeks are discussing this.
Well, since this is our last show of the year 2020, we're going to do our year in review and just chat about the many, many things that happened during this year.
Oh, it's a year never to forget.
Exactly.
As much as I would like to.
Yep. And our birthday shout-outs, our featured podcast of the week, which we have a different one, a new one this time, and everybody's favorite feedback. We got our shout-outs, our second segment. We got a couple of things that we kind of want to talk about if we have time. Hopefully we will. And then our weekly recap and our regular shout-outs. So let's just get on to us chit-chatting. Well, 2020.
Oh, my goodness.
What do you say about 2020? Oh, exactly. Big fat raspberry.
Rosemary's.
Rosemary. A big fat rosemary.
Big fat rosemary. How tasty.
Yeah, so this is kind of our year in review for this horrible, nasty, awful thing called 2020.
This has not been a kind year.
Not at all.
I mean, it wasn't kind.
Way.
No, it was not
From
kind.
the beginning.
Right from the very beginning, because right in January,
Yep.
it was you. Twice.
Yeah, exactly. I spent my 60th birthday in the hospital. In fact, they had to shock me to get my heart back into the correct rhythm. I had
Some sort of arrhythmia.
Yeah.
AFib.
AFib, yeah. Arterial fibrillation, yeah. And so I wound up in the hospital, and then they shocked me and I went home, and I was back exactly a week later with pneumonia.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I crept around the house for, almost 4 days before I said, you've got to take, I couldn't walk from my chair into the kitchen, which is 20 feet?
Yeah.
Without
you managed to drive
completely being out of breath.
You managed to drive yourself to urgent care.
Yep.
I remember that. And then you wanted to either drive home and have me take you, but they said no way at urgent care. They said no. You're going by ambulance.
Yeah, my blood oxygen level was way too low that they were afraid that I would have an accident or something. And then, once they shot me full of antibiotics and gave me oxygen and funny little story while I was there that time, I asked the nurse, I was laying there in the hospital bed, and I asked the nurse, do you mind if I sit up? And she said, no, go ahead. And then she walked out, and
thank you very much.
I'm laying And the side of the bed that's open is the right side, and that's where they have me hooked up to all the IVs. So I couldn't get a fulcrum, a lever to stand up. And so I thought I would put my legs over the edge, and I got sideways on the bed.
This is not going to end well.
It was hilarious, And then I finally got in such a position because I couldn't sit up, and I was kind of in this weird look, and one of the techs walks in, and he looked at me because I had just given up and I was just laying there, and he looked at me and thought, I have never seen anybody in that position. I said, I was just trying to sit up. He said, oh, I see. I'll help you.
Wow.
So it was just, oh my Lord. It was one of those weird things. I don't know what happened, but
well, I'm glad you can laugh at that.
Then I was in observation again, and they pumped me full of antibiotics and finally sent me home, and I did much better after that.
Yeah, you were fine afterwards.
No health issues since then.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, they put me on some medications, and it's helping, so that's a good thing. And
when you say no health, situations after that, it kind of dovetails into something that happened, pretty much around the world.
Yeah. So here it is. That was January 23rd that started this whole, or actually a couple of days before, because I'd had the
you were feeling
going
off
for
several
days.
Yeah.
And then the whole world blew up with this COVID thing, and we already had a trip scheduled for to go to New York to see the opera in March. And
a number of operas.
The middle of March, we were going to see 4 operas at the Met.
And have a tour.
And a bunch of other things. And it was so strange because we took precautions. Masking was not the thing at the moment, because they hadn't quite figured out, all of it. I think they were a mild suggestion of wearing masks, but I didn't.
I think it depended on where you lived.
Yeah,
because here in Phoenix, at that point, it wasn't a thing.
Yeah, so but we took wipes and hand sanitizer and wiped everything down that we touched, and I wiped the seat on the plane down, and everything in front of me, and the tray, and the, everything that came at us. And by the time we got, it was a straight flight into New York. And by the time we got there on that Monday, I already had an email that they were canceling the backstage tour that we had scheduled for Wednesday.
Yeah. And that was a harbinger of things to come.
Exactly. So then we're there, and we met Corey Nelson.
My friend from grade school.
Yep. And we had a great time. We met her at the library, and we wandered around the library a little bit. And then we went back and got something to eat. And the next day we went to, we had to go to the Apple store.
Yeah, because I forgot my charger again.
Again, yes. And that's like 4 of them we bought.
Yeah, but hey, we were next to the mothership in California, there is no Apple store that is, in my mind, as iconic as New York City's. Yeah. And I wanted to go there anyway. So, hey, we're killing 2 birds with one stone.
It's right there, at the end of the park, the south end of the park. And we go in there, get your charger, and then we thought, well, let's just walk up to the Museum of Art.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. It's like...
We should have known.
Yeah, we were talking about with Brendan and Gordon the other day, the mall in Washington, D.C. It just looks like it's just down there, but it's like 72 miles,
Yeah,
Anyway,
it's a lot closer than...
The park is, like...
Central Park is huge.
Central Park is huge, and you're walking the entire length of that thing to get to the museum. And halfway there, you said...
I need to go to the bathroom.
Exactly. It's like, you should have thought of that before we left.
I didn't have to go before we left.
Exactly.
That's how big this park is.
Yeah. So we made it to the Museum of Art, then we went over to the...
Well, no, I have to add one thing. When we got into the museum, I immediately found a guard, and I just walked up and said, "I'm sorry, but I have to ask you the most peculiar question." And she said, "Bathrooms are around the corner."
Yeah, exactly.
I went, "Thank you."
There we are. And then we went over to the Museum of Natural History, or was that the next day? I don't recall.
It was hard to tell. It might have been the next day, because I think by the time we finished at the first museum,
it was later in the afternoon.
It was, and we decided to
ride the train back. Yeah,
because we actually crossed Central Park at that point, and it's not a straight line. It's a very curvy line.
Yep, it's wonderful, though.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
I can't wait to go back.
Yeah, I definitely would love to go back in a slightly more civil time of year.
Yep.
But it was just a wonderful sight to behold. And then by the time we got there, I thought, it's getting a little late. Yeah. And I think at that point, we decided to just go ahead and catch a subway, because I think originally we were going to walk down a little bit. Take us by not the plaza, but we were going to be near some major landmark in New York City. I don't remember what now.
Yeah.
And we said, sod it all. We just take the train.
Exactly. And then the next day we were supposed to have a tour, or I don't remember. We were supposed to have a tour that took us up to the top of the Empire State Building.
Right. That never happened.
And that never happened. We stood out there in the cold, freezing cold. And just waiting for them to show up, and nobody ever showed up. And then we made the Museum of Natural History, which was great.
Oh, I loved that museum. That was great.
So then Thursday morning we were doing something, and I got the email that they had closed the opera. They'd canceled the rest of the season. So
that very night we were supposed to catch our first opera.
Yep. And so after that, then Broadway closed Friday.
Yeah.
And then everything started to close down, and we just did some sightseeing things. We wound up Friday or Saturday, I don't remember which it was, in Times Square.
Times Square, Saturday.
Almost abandoned.
It was.
And so, but anyway, we barely made it out of New York. We were flying out Sunday night, which was like the 18th or something like that of March. And New York City closed down like the next day. So we barely made it out of New York. You were told to stay home for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I
turned into the rest of the year to work.
Yeah, I got an email while we were out, and I guess there was already some concern. And my supervisor said, just put yourself in quarantine for 2 weeks, and then after 2 weeks, we'll then decide what we want to do about getting you back into the office. And so I did the 2 weeks, and before the 2 weeks were even up, I got another email, this time from corporate, saying, everybody's staying home.
Yep. And of course, I travel a lot, or had been. That shut down, and we were doing everything over, Skype, not Skype, but WebEx or Zoom or whatever, was available at the time. So all meetings were all training that we did. And then the conventions started to cancel.
Oh, man, that was heartbreaking.
April, May,
convention season.
They started to cancel some of the things, some of the big stuff. May, Phoenix Comic-Con
Phoenix Fan Fest, it got a postponement.
At
first.
From May until October, and then that was eventually canceled. Comic-Con was canceled. CocoCon, all of the cons that we usually go to. So that really put a damper on everything. People were not making movies anymore, and, were making the independent films of people that we talk to normally. So we kind of had a rush on authors there for a while. And now, as you've seen in the last several weeks, we've got a lot of us talking.
Yeah.
Because things have dried up. We've got some things that are in the works of people to talk to, but it's just everybody's,
it's been really
hibernating.
Yeah, it was really tough, especially for the film industry. They didn't quite know how to respond. And I guess the studios were trying to come up with some sort of foolproof way, or as close to foolproof as possible, by which they could actually film, make movies during this incredible time. I mean, let's not even think about how we're going to, distribute them so that people can see them. Let's just at least get these things made.
Exactly.
And that was a very costly expense. Productions were being moved out of the United States. I know that Marvel moved their production to New Zealand because New Zealand was one of the countries that had it was on the decline, and now has got like zero cases or close to zero of COVID. So then independent films, I mean, they didn't quite have that luxury of being able to fork out the money.
Yep.
But now they're kind of doing. I know we spoke to Russ Emanuel recently.
Yeah, and it's horribly expensive. If you have an opportunity, go to Indiegogo and look at Staycation. Throw them a few bucks because they made that film through COVID, and it required everybody to be tested every day they were going to be on the set, and obviously the production company had to pay for that.
Yeah. So a lot of the money that was originally supposed to go into production costs now has to be diverted to health costs.
Exactly.
And healthcare prevention, and so that people don't come down with COVID and start this huge epidemic. They managed to do it, and I think it'll make for an interesting working model for other independent films until this thing is gone. But man, what this great pause has done to the geek industry, if you will,
exactly,
has just been horrible.
Yeah, comic book artists and all the people that make a ton of money, or make enough money to go to the con, shall we say, in most cases, just break even and maybe sell a couple of things and get a little exposure at conventions, got zero this year. So that's why we constantly throw out that supportive, PSA for supporting independent creators, because they had no opportunity to talk about or see anybody or do anything.
And I think
other than their sites and their outreach on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and etc.
And one of the worst hit was Tony Kim.
Oh my gosh,
he was so devastated financially.
Just when
I'm so glad that his company has managed to stay together, but the sacrifices that that company. Hero Within had to make was just horrible.
Yeah, I mean, his whole business was conventions.
Yeah,
I mean, some online business, but his big business was
that's where he did all his big sales.
Conventions. That's where the bulk of his sales come from. So check out Hero Within as well. They've got some great merchandise, and there's just so many people impacted by the Great Pause. And people working from home, people not working, people, trying to survive.
Yeah.
I
mean, we're lucky that our jobs allowed us to work from home full time.
Exactly. And it's been tough for everybody.
Yeah.
Even to stay home. Oh my gosh. We've had to, our cats are glad that we're here, but all the time. But the next time we do anything or leave, when we leave for, to go shopping occasionally and we come back,
they'll tear the house apart.
At the doors just when we come home. It's like, where have you been? We thought you abandoned us.
You've been gone forever. I counted.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's been really hard having to live in this kind of self-imposed quarantine. I mean, when we go out, we do go out with, wearing masks, and we take hand wipes, etc. But the smart thing is to try and go out as little as possible.
Exactly.
And that's what we've done. And it can really mess with your head.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't eaten at a restaurant. We've done takeout.
Oh, my goodness. I miss eating at a restaurant so badly.
Lots of things.
Yeah.
Although there have been some interesting things that have happened, we celebrated 24 years together, celebrated 6 years of the podcast, and episode 300 of the podcast. A bad thing that
my mom
that sort of happened.
Yeah, my mom. Well, this was sort of expected. Mom had been on the decline for a long time. And I think it could be argued that she lived longer than perhaps she should have. And, that's who's to say. But yeah, she finally passed away at the very beginning of September. And
she was 89.
She was 89 years old. And it was a very rough time. Especially going to the holidays, man. That was just the holidays have been surreal, and I knew they would be.
Yep.
I knew they were going to be bizarre, but that didn't really, that doesn't emotionally prepare you for how it feels when you finally get into it. So yeah, that we've had that happen on top of everything. It's just, it makes me want to give 2020 the finger.
Yeah. We had, after that all happened, we had planned to possibly go back to Oklahoma for
Which
Christmas,
I would have loved.
Like we did last year.
Yeah.
And had such a great time, but it just, things blew up again.
Yeah, the pandemic just flared up. So I thought, it's not safe.
No, it's not safe for anybody. So rather
Let's stay home.
Just stay home. So we stayed home for Thanksgiving. We did have Brendan and Gordon over, and we did a distance Thanksgiving out on our patio.
Yeah, we ate at one table. They ate at another.
Yep, and then we sat for 4 hours and talked.
and chatted. Had a great time.
Yeah, and then over Christmas, we went Christmas Day. Brendan fixed dinner that day, and we did a somewhat distanced Christmas with them.
Yeah, we should point out, though, that we had all four of us had been tested, and we all came back negative.
Yes, and
we all came back negative, so we knew we were safe. But still, we went out with masks. We weren't gonna play Russian roulette, so we still practiced some safety.
Yeah, and then we sat there for
golly.
We stayed till 10:30. I mean, we got there noon o'clock or so.
Yeah, we were all there for about 10 hours.
Yeah, and it's just, that's just, they're our closest friends in the world. We've done everything with them, vacationed with them, even in the same hotel room with them.
Oh yeah,
and, it's just, they're our family here in Phoenix.
And it was nice being able to do that and just get out of our house.
Yeah.
And just be able to have a conversation with people face to face, because
exactly.
I don't know if it was Gordon who said it. I think it might have been Gordon. He said that there's something more meaningful about having get-togethers face to face, because there's that sharing of energy that you just don't get when you're doing something over Zoom.
Exactly. So we look forward to a new year, and the vaccines are happening, and hopefully everybody out there in our podcast land is staying safe and staying home as much as you can, and wearing your mask, and
wash your hands.
We continue to do the sanitizer, even though it's not. They've said that it's not as imperative. It's not spread by contact, but who knows?
It doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt.
No.
So we're looking forward to next year, when hopefully maybe by the end of the year things can start to get a little more
back to normal,
loosened up.
Yeah,
and maybe
hopefully we can see some normal activity again.
Yeah. So that's our year in review. I mean, oh my gosh, we've just been in the house, and we have the quarantine house from hell, like everybody does.
Like everybody else does.
All the Amazon boxes and all the stuff. And the
which of course thrills the cat. Yeah. The cats love the Amazon boxes everywhere.
But that's us
for
this year.
I'm Lizzie.
I'm Eric.
That's not right.
One brain. We're Cheshire Moon. And you're listening to the Two Gay Geeks.
I really like them.
They are a lot of fun.
I remember when we chatted with them at CocoCon, and I was like so amazed at how wonderful those two were together.
Their energy together
is awesome.
It really is.
And they're really amusing people too.
Yeah. Well, here's a few selected birthdays for December 25th, or what? December 28th, 2020 through January 3rd, 2021. Oh my gosh. I have to start writing 2021 now.
Yeah, thank goodness I'm not
amazing.
writing. I'm glad I'm not writing checks anymore.
Exactly.
Because that's always messing me up.
December 28th, Mr. Stan Lee. What can you say?
Well, we did see him walk past us at San Diego Comic-Con the last time we were there. We didn't talk to him, but he walked past us.
Yep. Comic book writer, editor, publisher. He started in the business at the age of 17. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and between him and Jack Kirby,
yep.
I mean, they redefined the comic book industry.
Yep. He is credited with creating some of Marvel's iconic characters, along with Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko, and had a cameo in every Marvel Cinematic Universe film
up to when he passed away.
Exactly. So What more do you say about Stan Lee? Maggie Smith.
Oh, my
Dame
gosh.
Maggie
Dame
Smith,
Maggie.
actress. So many roles. Interesting thing, she filmed Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince while undergoing radiation therapy for cancer in 2009.
No!
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. She frequently works with Judi Dench.
Yes.
And they have each worked with each other's children.
Yeah?
So, and one of the best lines ever comes out of Maggie Smith's mouth on Death on the Nile when she's talking to Betty Davis, and she says, "You just go ahead and fire me."
And she says it with such spite. It's like
such venom.
It's like, I don't think anybody would even dare say that, even if it's in the script. How do you say that to Betty Davis?
Exactly.
I mean, we had to stop the movie because we were just laughing so hard.
Yeah, the other thing about Death on the Nile, and I said this, it was somebody's birthday that was also in Death on the Nile, and all the cabins were at a premium because they actually filmed on a boat.
Right.
And so they had to share one cabin as a dressing room. Betty Davis and Maggie
One
Smith.
cabin only as a dressing room?
Who was the other one in there? Yeah.
Oh, my God. Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Yes.
Angela Lansbury.
Yes. So they were all sharing the same dressing room.
Oh, my God. Okay, I bet that got dicey.
Exactly. Then we have Nichelle Nichols.
Oh, my goodness.
Actress, 88 years old. It will be on the 28th.
She will be.
At the age of 16, she worked with Duke Ellington. That's how she was kind of came to the attention of the TV peoples.
She was amazing, and I will
truly.
I will always remember. I mean, I hold this in my heart. It's a very cherished memory when we just walked by her table at Comic-Con, and there was nobody talking to her
there.
And I thought,
Not
this is
soul.
wrong.
So we had to have our
we got an autograph photo
and our photo
and
with
a personalized photo
Yeah.
with her, and she was so kind, so sweet. And I saw her years earlier. It was in a promotion for Star Trek V, and this was the very first time I was going to see her at a con. And this was like in the San Jose area, and she closed off her appearance by singing "Beyond Antares," which is, one of the big songs that she sings in the first season of Star Trek. And I just sat there with just this big stupid grin on my face, listening to this gorgeous voice.
Yep.
I mean, the woman is just an angel. I mean, everybody who ever meets her just adores her.
Yes, she's such a wonderful person. Did you know that from the 70s until the late 80s, she was in charge of the NASA recruits? And
Yes,
hopefuls?
I did know that.
Amazing, huh? And we have also Facebook friend Dwayne Plain and Terry Wheeler, my cousin Kevin Falconberry, and our adopted sister,
Yes.
Jennifer Chavez.
How does it
Happy
feel to be
birthday.
adopted, Jennifer?
Hey, yeah, one of our closest friends.
Yes, adore
in,
her.
Southern California.
And, there's nothing more fun than going on vacation with her and her husband. And,
Oh, my gosh.
And their best friends, the Blunts. Oh, my God. It's always a party.
Exactly. Well, you can't forget Dina.
Oh, we have to include Dina.
Yes.
Dina, oh, my God. That woman is a riot.
She is.
She's a force of nature.
It was our group on that awful Alaskan cruise when we got together and just acted silly.
Yeah.
That was the best.
That was the best part of the entire thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. I remember that. That I remember fondly.
Yes. December 29th, Mary Tyler Moore, actress. Dick Van Dyke Show.
Oh, yeah.
Mary Tyler Moore Show. Groundbreaking Mary Tyler Moore Show. She broke into show business as Happy Hot Point, the dancing hot point appliance elf.
Huh.
Yes.
Okay.
In the 50s. Yes. She went back to TV after doing several movies, but she said she would only go back to TV on her own terms. So she formed MTM Productions with Grant Tinker, who she was married to, and MTM Productions went on to produce some really significant TV properties.
Yes.
So she was quite the businesswoman.
Yeah, I know she wanted to get away from comedy for a while, and then she broke into drama, and she was an award-winning actress with a lot of the dramatic performances that she did, and then it's like, I need to get back to comedy, and I'm glad she did, because not to dismiss her dramatic, her very serious dramatic achievements, because they are very good. I mean, the woman was just a brilliant actor, but you got to love her for a comedy. Oh, Rob. From Dick Van Dyke Show.
Yes. And then we have Bernard Cribbens, actor.
Doctor Who.
Most known in the U.S. for his part as Donna Noble's grandfather, Wilfred, who we didn't know it was her grandfather.
When we first meet him.
Yeah. And he was also in the Doctor Who movie, Daleks' Invasion of Earth, with Peter Cushing. Was considered for the Doctor, but Tom Baker got the role.
Oh, that I didn't know.
Yes, he had come in. Barry Letts, I think, was the producer at the time. And he went in, and Barry asked him, well, what can you do? And he said, well, I've done this and this and this, and I've got some fighting. And, he said, that Barry said, well, we don't want Doctor Who fighting.
Well, they already had that. I mean, with John Pertwee.
He said, what's the first thing that Tom Baker does? He knocks somebody out. So anyway, that was kind of an interesting little story. And he's done a ton of voiceover work.
Oh, that I didn't know.
Yeah. And then we have Viveka Linfers, actress. She was Hannah von Frankenstein in Frankenstein's Aunt. It was a TV series. And then she was Catherine Langford in Stargate, the movie.
That is my most... I adored her in that.
Yes. And then we have Facebook friend Kelly Kallstrom. December 30th, Tracy Ullman. British funny lady, actress.
Bit of a chameleon.
Yes. The Simpsons is actually a spin-off of the Tracy Ullman show.
It is, because they did these little animated shorts that were like 30 seconds long at most.
30 seconds in between the sketches.
Right, and there you go. Now you have a series.
And she, at one time, sued them for, something. It lost a lawsuit, and one of her famous quotes is something like, I wish they'd let me do 30 seconds on their show. It was kind of one of those inside joke things. We recently saw her in The Prom.
That's right. She plays the mother.
Velma, Verna, Vina.
I can't remember the character's name.
Anyway. Also, Paul Stuckey.
Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Peter, Paul, and Mary. Michael Nesmith.
Of the Monkees.
His mother created liquid paper.
That's right.
And he inherited a fortune, actually half of her fortune. The other half went to a think tank. And 14 months he spent in the Air Force, where he managed to tip over a general's airplane while he was cleaning it.
Tip it over?
Yes. I don't know. Don't ask me.
I want to see the YouTube video on that one. Okay?
Exactly. He invented the idea for MTV.
No, that I didn't know that.
Yes.
Really?
Exactly.
Huh.
He sold it to Warner. I think it was Warner.
I don't know who owned it.
That started MTV. They did a trial thing on the shoot. What's the kids?
It was Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon. Yes, they did it on the Nickelodeon because it was...
Really?
Yeah. And did a trial, and it was successful, and then they decided to go ahead and make the property, and he just sold it to him, and because he didn't want to run a network, a TV network.
And it's more money to him.
Yep. And in the 80s, he built up the largest non-theatrical home library called Pacific Arts Corporation. And it lots of the National Geographic stuff, and that's how PBS got its home video library started. So
okay,
yep. And then we have a friend of ours, Sam Holdren, December 31st.
Henry John Dutchendorf Jr.
Yes,
better known as
John Denver,
my hero.
Yep.
I love this man to no end.
Yep. Did you know he was given his first guitar by his grandmother?
Yes, I did.
In Tucson, Arizona.
Yes, I did. I did know that. Well, no, because he tells a story about that. I mean, it's such a fond story of his. I mean, it was a Gibson F-Hold jazz guitar. And that's the one he learned to play on, and he took that one with him everywhere. And then at some point he lost it.
Oh no!
And then he was and it was one of the saddest days of his life. And then he was on tour, and it took him to Southern California. And for a time, he was studying to become, I believe, an architecture, and he was living in Long Beach. And while he was on tour, somehow he found that guitar again.
Wow.
And it was such a powerful moment for him that he fondly says that, he told everything the guitar happened to him since they last met, and the guitar shared a few stories with him. And out of that conversation came a song that he always closed his concerts with called This Old Guitar.
Ah, interesting. It was actually born on the very same date, same year, as our next entry, Ben Kingsley.
Oh, my.
Actor. What can you say about Ben Kingsley?
This
oh, my
man.
God. He's another chameleon.
Oh, totally.
Gandhi. He was in Morris and Schindler's List, Iron Man 3, and Hugo as Georges Méliès.
Oh, God. I loved him as Georges Méliès. And what's so funny in Iron Man 3... to see, I love watching him do comedy.
Yes.
He is so good at comedy.
Yes.
I mean, the man can do anything, I think.
Yep. He has actually 7 films in some sort of production, whether announced or post, all the way through post, as well as completed right now. His paternal family is from the same Indian state as Mohandas Gandhi, so it was only appropriate that
he got to play the
Gandhi.
part. Yeah.
He was a busker outside of a cinema in Wales at the age of 10. When he took a trip with a friend of his from school, and they went down busking in front of the cinema.
How about that?
And his professional initials are the mirror of his given name, Ben Kingsley, and his given name was Krishna Banji.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
So, and then we have Andreas Vesalius, 16th century Flemish physician known as the founder of modern anatomy. Then we have good friend Michelle Romano and Duncan Richoff.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. January 1st, E.M. Forster. Interesting that Ben Kingsley should have been in Morris.
Yes, exactly.
He wrote A Room with a View, A Passage to India. His novel Morris was not published until after his death in 1971.
Right, too scandalous.
It depicted a homosexual relationship. And it was made into a film by Merchant Ivory in 1987. An incredible film.
Powerful.
Incredible film. Alfred Stiglitz, influential photographer in the early 20th century. He influenced Edward Weston, which we've seen some of his photos. He did a lot in Mexico. And gave the first exhibition of Ansel Adams' works, which basically launched Adams' career, and was married at one time to Georgia O'Keeffe.
Oh.
And then we have a friend of mine, a former coworker, Natasha Bryant, and then Shintaro Tsutita, and my Auntie Cindy Fretz. I'll call her Auntie Cindy still, even though she divorced my uncle, or they divorced, let's put it that way. January 2nd, Isaac Asimov.
One of the Holy Trinity.
Exactly. Writer, was professor of biochemistry at Boston University. Wrote hard science fiction along with the other two of the Holy Trinity, Clarke and Heinlein.
Yep.
He also wrote mysteries and fantasy.
I knew that.
And quite a few popular science books. Understanding Physics and Asimov's Chronology of Science and Discovery.
He was also a consultant, science consultant on Star Trek: The Motion Picture. And of course, right now, Apple TV has been running ads promoting the Foundation saga,
right.
Which I'm like, okay, I need that movie to be made because I cannot get through that freaking book. I've tried.
Exactly.
I've tried and I can't get through it.
Yep. And then we have Barry M. Goldwater, a 5-term senator from Arizona. He's a 1964 presidential candidate. He was born in Phoenix in 1909.
Yeah, he's an Arizona son.
Yep. Family started Goldwater's department store, which was a fabulous department store.
Oh my God. Very posh.
Yep. January 3rd, J.R.R. Tolkien.
Another
writer. What do you say?
Oh, my God.
If you don't know who the man is, then shame on you. Leave the show.
And there is more material being dug up that he wrote. Now I know that a lot of scholars as well as studios are now turning to the letters, because apparently it's not just the main books that he wrote, but there are all sorts of letters where he discusses some of the canonical story elements that took place on Middle-earth.
Oh my gosh.
And now they're referring to those as well.
Wow. Interesting.
And we're talking, first, second age stuff.
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
Far out. George Martin, record producer George Martin.
That George Martin.
Referred to as the fifth Beatle.
Yeah.
For his work on the original albums. He also worked with Bernard Cribbens in the 50s on some novelty records. So there's lots of tie-ins in this week's birthdays.
That's far out.
It's truly amazing. And then we have Victor Borge.
Oh, the Great Dane.
The Great Dane, yes. Musician, funny man, born in Copenhagen. Wonderful pianist. Oh my gosh, he was an incredible pianist. And you have to be to do the crazy stuff, the shtick that he did.
Yeah.
And his comedy, especially his punctuation.
Oh, yeah. Audible punctuation. Yes. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yep.
I mean, I saw him one time live with my mom. It was some little theater at a winery, like up in the Santa Cruz Mountains. It took us forever to get there. But my God, was it so worth it. And he closed off the show doing, the audible punctuation. And by the time it was over, I mean, I couldn't breathe from just laughing so hard. Yep. Because it starts off just one little, sound for a period, another sound for a comma. And this routine lasts like 10 minutes. And by the time you get to the end of it, it's more sounds than it is words.
Exactly.
And you can't understand a single thing that he's saying, and it just doesn't matter.
Yeah. Then we have Sergio Leone, director, producer, Mr. Spaghetti Western himself.
Of course.
Worked with Ennio Morricone and asked him to write the score for a film and would play the music for the actors to inform their performances. Normally the score is written afterwards. It's shot, but and Clint Eastwood, this is an apocryphal story, referred to him as Yosemite Sam because Leone was short and heavy and with an over-the-top temper and would stamp around like a cowboy with a thick Italian accent.
But I can see
that.
I can see Eastwood doing it. So I'm going to, maybe it's officially apocryphal. I'm going to say it's true.
And then we have Facebook friend Dean Auric. Happy birthday to everybody. And that's it for the birthdays this time.
Pop and Fizz is a podcast where Hamish and I chat about movies we've never seen, actors we love, music that sticks in our brains, and stories that we wish someone would write.
Featuring the odd guest, forgetfulness, and entertainment we can never,
but sometimes wish we could,
forget. And the occasional radio play written by one of the two of us.
Or the both of us.
Or the both of us. All right, so season 1 is available right now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and
Google,
and a few other places. But
yeah, so if you just search for Pop and Fizz, you'll find us. It's going to be a hand with our faces drawn on fingers.
Go give a listen to our friends Beck and Hamish over at Pop and Fizz Podcast.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counsellors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
And now,
And now, yes, it is time for our feedback. And I should point out that each of the items that we're going to cover in this feedback will be included in the show notes for this episode at tggeeks.com, episode number 306. Yes, 306.
Yes, 306.
Starting off with regarding Ben's breakdown of the Frasier episode, The Apparent Trap. Got a comment from my good friend Daz Anderson over in the UK. He says, it shows on Channel 4 a lot in the UK on the mornings, Monday through Friday.
Cool.
I'm glad you're getting a chance to watch it. It's a zany show. And then moving on, regarding Ben's breakdown, there is power with silence in Sound of Metal. This was one of the most amazing films.
Oh my gosh, it really was.
God, did I love this movie. It was wow. It's a very profound film. Got a comment from Hamish Downey, and he says, I wish Amazon had this up for rent. There's only so many subscriptions a person can have. It looks really interesting. And then he says, it reminds me of Jason Priestley and Eye the Beholder. Now, he gave me the link to that. So I took a look at it, and I can understand why Jason Priestley looks like the star of Sound of Metal, Riz Ahmed. So I can see where you kind of get that idea. And then, let's see, moving on regarding TG Geeks episode number 302. Had a fun little dialogue going on here because we had talked about the TV show Grimm, and got a comment from Corey. She says, love the Grimm show, would love a reboot.
I would too.
Yeah, so would we.
Not necessarily a reboot.
No, I want a continuation.
Maybe a continuation, yes.
Yeah.
Or fill in the gap of the 20 years between, the end of the show and
the very last scene?
And the very last scene, exactly.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But even if they picked up right where the series ended.
More Grimm. That's all I want.
Yeah, I just want more Grimm. More Grimm. Give us more Kelly. Give us more Diana. Give us the triplets. I want to see what these triplets are doing.
Exactly.
I want to know what those triplets are doing. I mean, because that fascinated me. Yeah.
or a Blutbau or whatever.
I want to know what they're doing because I think that sounds absolutely amazing. And the fact that apparently Nick and Adeline were still grimming away. So yes, I would like that. Anyway, Hamish responded with, well, maybe Netflix could bring it back or Peacock. And then Corey says, yeah, I wish. Yeah, me too. I wish for that also. And then we close off with a comment from Andy Luke. We'd given him a happy birthday greeting. He said, thanks for the birthday wishes, guys. My own new podcast just went live today, too. I talk about TV and stuff and things. The new episode is about Series 2 of Baywatch Nights, a truly description-defying train wreck of a show that's unintentionally great for community viewing. Hope you enjoy these and looking forward to episode 302.
Cool.
And that is our feedback for this week.
And if you want to leave a comment on anything that we publish, whether it's an article or a podcast episode, you can do that on our Facebook page. You can do it on our regular website, our regular website, as opposed to our irregular website, tggeeks.com. Or you can also leave us a comment on Twitter or Instagram, as well as a wonderful thing that we have that several people have taken advantage of recently, our voicemail. You can call us and leave a voicemail message, and we will play that on air. That's 469-TG Geeks. That is 469-844-3357. And as always, please play nice. Well, as everybody knows, and we talked about earlier, we are huge supporters of independent creators, whether it's filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, or others. We encourage you to please buy their stuff. Go to visit them at their websites. Go to their Facebook pages, their Twitter pages, their Instagram pages, their Etsy pages. Talk to them. Talk up to other people about them if you like their work. And please consider supporting them in some way. Please consider supporting independent creators. We always give a shout out to the Joshua Tree Feeding Program because we believe that it is doing a wonderful job here in the Phoenix area. It's a 501c3 nonprofit food pantry for the HIV/AIDS community in Maricopa and Pinal counties. They set it up just like a store so that the clients can come in and they can choose what food they want, so it empowers them and they don't waste any food. They are an all-volunteer organization, but they still do have overhead that they have to pay. Please consider supporting Joshua Tree either through a single gift or a monthly recurring gift. You can go to jtfp.org. If you are trans or are questioning your gender identity, and if you are in crisis or are feeling isolated and need someone to talk to, or you know of someone in a similar situation, there is a special hotline just for you. The hotline is provided by translifeline.org and staffed by trained counselors who are transgender themselves. The hotline in the U.S. is 877-565-8860. In Canada, it is 877-330-6366. Or you can go to translifeline.org to learn about the important work they are doing. Please reach out for help. You are not alone.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, you know. They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
We have a few minutes so we can spend talking about these couple of things. I want to talk about, and just really briefly, something that I had heard about since I was a kid, and finally was able to find a good version of it, and we watched it on YouTube, and that's Amal and the Night Visitors by Giancarlo Menotti.
And we say Amal, we're not talking like a mall. No, the name is Amal, A-M-A-H-L.
Yes. It's a one-act opera. It's about an hour, was written 1951, and Giancarlo Menotti was the partner of Samuel Barber, and they worked together on this a little bit towards the end to try to get it finished up. And it debuted in December 24th, 1951. It's really... It is amazingly tonal and
surprisingly melodic
for 20th century opera.
I mean, it has a lot of 20th century sort of structure in terms of the way phrases are repeated and kind of sectionalized, if you will. But aside from that, it is very lyrical.
Yeah.
I was very surprised, and I rather liked it.
Yeah, it's a neat little story. I think we're going to make that a yearly tradition to watch Amal.
Just quick synopsis.
Amal is a shepherd boy that has been injured, and he walks with a crutch now in the first century, and his mother has had to sell their sheep because he can't tend them anymore, and so they have, in essence, become beggars. And on one night, he's also a teller of tall tales.
Yes.
And so his mother doesn't believe him when he tells her anything, and somebody pounds on the door at night, and he goes back to his mother and says, "There's 3 kings all dressed."
Yeah.
And so she says, "No, there's not. If I go to the door and I'm going to slap you," or something to that effect. And she goes, and there's the 3 kings, and they come in, and
they're making their pilgrimage, if you will, to Bethlehem.
Yep. And suffice to say, the story goes on, and Amal joins them, and he's healed, and they go on about their way.
Yeah.
So I won't tell you the rest of it. But
but how he gets healed is also a very touching thing.
Yes, it's really a neat little story, and the music is actually kind of neat too.
It was, and lovely harmonies, and the production that we saw, which is not the original 51, because the one we saw was from the 70s.
Yeah.
But the voices were just sterling.
Yep.
Just beautiful.
There was Nico Castell and Willard White.
And Teresa
Stratus and Giorgio Tozzi.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Wonderful.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Now we got to move on to the big elephant in the room.
The big elephant in the room.
Yeah, that's looks like an Amazon.
Yep.
Wonder Woman 84.
Yay.
Yeah, we saw that yesterday. My review for that came out on Sunday the 27th.
It was a likable movie.
It was. I think you liked it better than me.
Yeah, but
I thought
you're a little more critical in certain aspects.
In some aspects.
Yeah, but you know the story, and you know you're a comic book person.
And I had certain expectations for this film, and they were not met. And all I would say is that I call it sort of okay. It's not a bad movie. It's just not a great movie.
Right. And it could have been a great movie.
It should have been a great movie.
Yeah. I think where it falls down in the very middle.
Oh, definitely.
Actually, the middle 2/3, shall we say.
Yeah. I mean, the opening is fairly strong, although somebody...
So we got 1/6 at the beginning and 1/6 at the end that we get... good stuff, and the middle 2/3,
and even that middle, or that ending 1/6 is a little dubious.
Yeah,
but as someone pointed out, they disliked the fact that it was set in 1984 and felt that maybe this was Warner's attempt to try and capitalize on the Stranger Things nostalgia kick.
It's possible.
I mean, it was done in a mall.
There were some, and I've heard Arkell say that. Or was it Arkell?
Arkell said that he read a spoiler on it before he saw it, which already ruined it.
Somebody else said it was very misogynistic. And yes, but 1984, that was 1984.
Yeah.
So...
But even then, you can talk about any misogynistic attitudes that might have been portrayed within the context of the film. That is one thing. I just have a hard time with the way certain characters were being given the spotlight, unnecessarily so, while others were being passed over that should have gotten the spotlight. Right. That has been one of my big complaints about this film, and it's just way too freaking long.
Yeah.
It needs to have been trimmed by 30 minutes.
Yep.
Easily.
And then we have the new Pixar entry, Soul, that we watched last night, which was, it was
very
a good film.
Interesting.
It was not an out of the park, home run that most of the Pixar films have been. First Pixar film to not have John Ratzenberger in it, but it was an okay film. I liked it. It had a lot of heart and soul.
I did like it. I liked it a great deal, but this is not a movie that you can just go walking right out of the theater and say, oh my gosh, let's go see that again. Like you did with Cars or with Brave or something like that. I mean, this movie it's very philosophical almost.
Yep.
In terms of its story content. I mean, I just didn't quite know what to make of it, except that I thought it was very well done. I loved how it dealt with the jazz community, the jazz music community. Yep. And something that was a lot of fun for us is...
Well, musicians, period.
Yeah. And yes, artists.
Artists.
Yeah, because there's a really wonderful bit about how when artists get into the zone, and it's something that I could relate to. But one thing that I just thought was so well done is when it came to the scenes that take place in New York City, clearly there was research done.
Oh, yeah.
Because they get it. They find themselves in a subway at one point, a subway station. And I thought, that's exactly right, because we were there.
Oh, yeah.
They nailed it.
Oh, my gosh. And the whole subway scene is just hysterical.
Very amusing. Very amusing, but very accurate. Yes. And that's the reason why it is amusing, is because it is accurate. So I applaud the people that did it. It's very artistic.
Yep.
And it's a very heady kind of film, and one that you just don't you just don't immediately analyze. Tim Calloway, another critic and dear friend of mine from junior high, said that he didn't care for it right off. And then a friend of his said, well, this is not the kind of movie you need to just, make a judgment about. You need to kind of think about it. Maybe I had to watch it 3 times before I could finally come to some understanding. And, now I love it. So it is worth watching.
Yep.
There's no question about it. It is very much worth watching. I did enjoy it, but it's going to take me maybe a day or two to write a review on that one.
Yep. To fly through this.
Yes.
We're running out of time.
I know. This is the weekly review. These are all the things that we ran on our website at tggeeks.com, and the links for each of these items will be in the show notes for this episode number 306 at tggeeks.com, starting with Sunday, December 20th, Noted Chupacabras, number 27. On Monday the 21st, TG Geeks episode number 305. On Tuesday the 22nd, Ben's Holiday Breakdown. There is nothing special about the Star Wars Holiday Special, and I stand by that. On Wednesday the 23rd, Ben's Holiday Breakdown, A Christmas Carol told as a horror story?
Wonderful.
You betcha. On Thursday the 24th, Andrea's Angle, she reviewed something new. Mind the Promising Young Woman, for she is insightful and smart. On Friday, the 25th, Christmas Day, we got two things. Jeannie Koch on Phoenix holiday decorations. It must be read to be believed. Yes. Also, Hamish shares some holiday magic with us. And that
has to be read.
That has to be read, yeah. It does. And then on Saturday, 26th, Andrew's got a new movie that she reviewed. Sylvie's Love is an extraordinary love story with beautiful music. And that is what we ran at our website at tggeeks.com. Have some shout-outs that we need to make. First, to the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News for republishing some of our content from time to time. It is put up by the human Arkle, Brian Weber. You heard us make mention of him a little bit earlier in the show. You can find the Post-Dispatch News by finding him on Twitter. Search for him at ARKLE. And while you're looking for Arkle, go ahead and check out his YouTube channel, Arkle Studios, youtube.com/Arkle Studios.
He has a ton of stuff
He's
up there.
always doing something, and some of his projects include his Shameless Cash Grab series, which is terribly entertaining, his Rants vs. Zombies series, and his game videos of Trick and Treat, as well as Star Trek Online. And we must also give some shout-outs to a couple of Facebook groups for allowing us to share away our content on their pages. First, to Gay Geeks After Hours. You can find them by going to their URL, facebook.com/group/Gay Geeks After Hours, and then to The Gay Geek. Go to that page by going to facebook.com/group/The Gay Geek. And as always, we must give special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves.
Thank you, Jeremiah. And we can be found on Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, as well as for other fine podcasts can be found. Also, check us out for a replay on Krypton Radio at 3 a.m., 3 p.m. Pacific time on Tuesdays. Listen to their other content. They're a 24-hour geeky internet radio station. Please rate us and review us on iTunes. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Maybe I can make it through the rest of this by talking. I was having some problems with my mouth there. That should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We're going to have several links on the page of things that we talked about. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com. Or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357 from TG Squared Studios. I am Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please be kind to yourself and those around you. Stay home, stay safe, stay sane. Peace.
Cheers.